Transformation does not begin with noise. It does not announce itself. It does not wait for permission. It begins quietly, in the moments when no one is watching you, in the space between who you are and who you could become. Most people imagine transformation as something dramatic, a sudden breakthrough, a visible rise, a moment where the world finally turns its head and pays attention. But that is the illusion. Real transformation is invisible at first. It looks like discipline when no one is clapping. It feels like isolation when no one understands. It demands patience when everything in you wants immediate results. You must understand this clearly. If your goal is to astonish the world, your journey will first feel like you are disappearing from it. There will be a phase where you speak less, where you observe more, where you stop explaining yourself to people who never intended to understand. This is where most people quit, because in this phase there is no validation, no applause, no visible reward. Only you, your thoughts, and the uncomfortable truth of who you currently are. And that truth is not always easy to face. You will notice your weaknesses, your habits that keep pulling you back, your need for approval, your tendency to escape discomfort. Instead of running from it, you will sit with it. That is the first shift. Not changing your life overnight, but changing how you respond to yourself. You stop lying to yourself. You stop making excuses. You stop pretending that your current results are acceptable if they are not. And this honesty begins to reshape you, slowly, quietly, powerfully. At this stage, nothing about your external life may change, but internally, everything starts moving. Your standards rise, your awareness sharpens, your tolerance for mediocrity fades. You begin to realize that transformation is not about adding something new. It is about removing everything that weakens you. Distractions, excuses, negative patterns, unnecessary noise. You start cutting these out, not aggressively, not emotionally, but deliberately. And with each thing you remove, you create space. Space for focus, space for clarity, space for growth. This is where discipline is born, not forced, not artificial, but chosen. You begin to do things not because you feel like it, but because you understand the cost of not doing them. This mindset separates you from most people, because most people wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel ready. But you stop waiting. You act, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is boring, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching, because that is where transformation is real. And as days turn into weeks, something subtle begins to happen. You become harder to recognize, not physically at first, but mentally. Your reactions change, your priorities shift, your energy feels different. You are no longer easily distracted, you are no longer easily influenced, you are no longer easily broken. And the world does not notice yet, but it will. Because this quiet phase is building something powerful, something rare, something that cannot be faked. This is the foundation of a transformation that will not just impress people, but leave them questioning how you did it. And the truth is simple. You did not chase attention. You built yourself in silence. Once you begin building yourself in silence, something inevitable happens. You start to outgrow your old environment. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but noticeably. The conversations that once entertained you begin to feel empty. The habits that once comforted you begin to feel limiting. The people you once aligned with begin to feel distant. This is not arrogance, this is evolution, and it comes with a cost. Because growth does not just add new layers to you, it removes your attachment to what no longer fits. You will feel this deeply. There will be moments where you question yourself, where you wonder if you are becoming too different, too distant, too disconnected. But what you are really experiencing is separation, a necessary phase that most people are too afraid to go through, because separation feels like loss. You may lose certain friendships, not through conflict, but through misalignment. You may lose the desire to participate in things that no longer serve your future, even if they once made you feel included. And the hardest part, you may lose the version of yourself that felt familiar. This is where many people retreat. They return to old habits, old environments, old mindsets, not because they want to, but because it feels comfortable. You will be tempted to do the same, to slow down, to blend back in, to avoid standing out. But this is the exact moment where your transformation is tested, because real change requires you to walk forward without constant reassurance. You must be willing to feel alone for a period of time, not permanently, but long enough to rebuild your identity. During this phase, your focus sharpens even more. You stop seeking distraction. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining your decisions to people who are not living your future. Instead, you invest deeply in yourself. Your time becomes more intentional. Your energy becomes more guarded. Your actions become more aligned. You begin to operate with purpose, even if no one sees it yet. And this is where discipline evolves into something stronger, self-respect. You no longer do things just to stay consistent. You do them because you value who you are becoming. Every action becomes a vote for your future self. Waking up on time, keeping your promises to yourself, avoiding things that weaken your focus. These are no longer tasks, they are standards. And once standards are set, they become non-negotiable. This is where the shift becomes powerful, because you are no longer relying on external pressure. You are driven by internal alignment. And this creates a quiet confidence, not loud, not performative, but undeniable. You start to carry yourself differently, not to impress others, but because you know what you are building. And even though the world still may not fully notice, people begin to sense it. They may not understand it, they may not be able to explain it, but they feel that something about you has changed. You are less reactive, less available, less predictable, and more focused, more composed, more intentional. This is where curiosity begins. People start watching, not openly, but quietly, because transformation at this level cannot be ignored forever. And yet, you do not speed up for them. You do not reveal everything. You do not seek validation. You continue. Because you understand something most people do not. The moment you start performing your growth for attention, you weaken it. So you protect it. You stay disciplined. You stay focused. You stay committed. Even when it feels repetitive, even when progress feels slow, because you know what is coming. The visible results. The moment where everything you have built in silence starts to show. And when that moment arrives, it will not feel sudden to you, but to everyone else, it will look like a transformation that happened overnight.
By now, something deeper is happening within you. Not just visible discipline, not just external separation, but a complete rewiring of how you think. This is where transformation stops being something you do and becomes who you are. Your mind no longer operates the same way. Where you once reacted, you now observe. Where you once doubted, you now analyze. Where you once hesitated, you now decide. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. because your reality is shaped by how you interpret it. And now, your interpretations are no longer emotional reactions, they are intentional responses. You begin to see challenges differently. What once felt like obstacles now feel like training. What once felt like pressure now feels like preparation. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this building in me?" This single shift separates those who stay average from those who become unstoppable. Because when your mindset changes, your limits change. And when your limits change, your results follow. But this phase is not easy, because rewiring your mind means confronting every belief that has been holding you back, every doubt, every insecurity, every internal story that told you what you could not do. You will face them, not once, but repeatedly, and each time you will have a choice. Return to the old version of yourself or reinforce the new one. This is where consistency becomes identity. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You are no longer trying to be focused. You are focused. You are no longer trying to improve. You are the type of person who improves. And this identity shift is powerful. Because once something becomes part of who you are, it no longer requires effort to maintain. It becomes natural. But there is a danger here, a quiet one. As you grow stronger mentally, you may feel the urge to prove it, to show others how much you have changed, to demonstrate your control, to validate your transformation. And this is where many people lose their edge, because the need to prove is a sign that you are still seeking external approval. True transformation removes that need. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to convince anyone. Your results will speak. And until they do, you remain silent, focused, unshaken. At this stage, your emotional control becomes one of your greatest strengths. Things that once triggered you no longer have the same effect, not because you are suppressing your emotions, but because you understand them. You see through situations, you recognize patterns, you anticipate reactions, and this gives you an advantage. You are no longer easily manipulated. You are no longer easily distracted. You are no longer easily thrown off course. You become stable. And stability creates power. Because in a world where most people are reactive, the one who remains composed stands out, without trying, without forcing it. And slowly, your external life begins to reflect your internal changes. Your decisions become sharper. Your actions become more effective. Your time becomes more valuable. You start achieving things that once felt distant, not because of luck, but because your thinking has evolved. And with this evolution comes a new level of confidence. Not loud confidence, not arrogant confidence, but quiet certainty. The kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that doesn't get shaken by opinions, the kind that remains steady regardless of circumstances. And this is where the shift becomes undeniable. People begin to notice, not just that you have changed, but that you operate differently. You think differently. You respond differently. You carry yourself differently. And while they may not fully understand it, they begin to respect it. Because transformation at this level cannot be ignored. It demands attention, not through noise, but through presence.
There comes a moment when everything begins to show, not gradually in the eyes of others, but suddenly. To them, it feels like you changed overnight, but you know the truth. You remember the silent mornings, the disciplined nights, the moments of doubt you pushed through without anyone knowing. Now the results are no longer internal, they are visible. Your work starts to stand out. Your presence starts to carry weight. Your decisions start to create real outcomes, and people begin to react. Some with admiration, some with curiosity, some with quiet comparison. They start asking questions. How did you do it? What changed? When did this happen? But what they are really asking is, how did you become someone we did not expect? Because most people build an image of you based on your past. And when you break that image, it unsettles them. Not in a negative way necessarily, but in a way that forces them to reconsider what is possible. This is the effect of real transformation. It does not just change your life, it challenges the perception of others. But here is where your discipline is tested again, because attention is a new kind of distraction. It can pull you away from your path if you are not careful. Praise can be as dangerous as criticism, because both can influence your behavior if you start valuing them too much. You might feel the urge to slow down, to enjoy the recognition, to stay within what now feels comfortable again. But comfort is where growth ends, and you already know that. So instead of getting carried away, you stay grounded. You acknowledge the progress, but you do not become attached to it. You continue working, quietly, consistently, intentionally, because you understand something deeper now. Transformation is not a destination, it is a standard. And once you reach this level, you do not stop, you evolve further. At this stage, your identity is solid. You are no longer influenced by temporary emotions, you are guided by long-term vision. You make decisions based on who you are becoming, not based on how you feel in the moment. This creates a powerful consistency, the kind that builds momentum. And momentum is what separates temporary success from lasting impact. People around you begin to adjust. Some will try to reconnect now that they see your value. Some will observe from a distance, unsure of how to approach you. Some will feel inspired, even if they never say it. And some may feel uncomfortable, because your growth reflects their stagnation. But none of this changes your focus, because your transformation was never about them. It was about you, becoming someone you respect, someone you trust, someone who follows through. And now that identity is visible, not just in what you say, but in everything you do. Your actions align with your standards, your results reflect your discipline, your presence carries your effort. And this is where the world becomes astonished, not because you tried to impress, but because you became undeniable. You did not chase attention, you earned it. And more importantly, you outgrew the need for it. This is what makes your transformation powerful. It is not dependent on recognition. It exists with or without it. And that is what makes it real.